In the quiet town of Millbrook, where factories and workshops lined the narrow streets, lived a young mechanic named Oliver Thompson. At 25, he carried the weight of his family's legacy on his shoulders. The small auto repair shop, once his father's pride and joy, now stood as a reminder of everything he had lost. Oliver's days were long and hard. Every morning he would wake up before sunrise, his hands already anticipating the day's challenges. The workshop was old, with paint peeling from its walls and tools that had seen better days. But Oliver treated each machine like a precious friend, understanding its whispers and groans better than most people understood human conversations. His mother, Elizabeth, worked tirelessly at the local hospital, her nursing shifts running from early morning to late night. She worried about Oliver, seeing the sadness that lingered in his eyes since his father's unexpected death 2 years ago. The family had struggled to keep the auto shop running, with bills piling up and customers becoming scarce. The town seemed to have forgotten about the Thompson family. People would drive past their shop, choosing newer, shinier repair centers in the next town. Oliver didn't blame them, but it hurt. He remembered how his father would greet every customer with a warm smile, how he could fix anything with just a few tools and his incredible understanding of machines. One particularly gloomy Tuesday morning, Oliver noticed a strange piece of equipment that had been left at the shop. It was different from anything he had ever seen, complex yet simple, modern yet somehow ancient. Most mechanics would have been confused, but Oliver felt a connection. His fingers traced the unusual mechanisms, and something inside him began to stir. As rain tapped against the workshop windows, Oliver worked. He wasn't just repairing, he was understanding. Each movement of his hands seemed to unlock something deeper. The machine responded to him differently, almost like it was alive. It was as if the metal and circuits were speaking a language that only he could hear. The local people saw Oliver as just another struggling mechanic. They didn't know about his special gift, an ability to connect with machines in a way that went beyond simple repairs. Where others saw broken parts, Oliver saw potential. Where others heard noise, he heard music of mechanics. His best friend, Jack, would often visit the workshop, bringing sandwiches and much-needed conversation. "You're different, Ollie," Jack would say, watching Oliver work. "There's something special about how you understand these machines." But Oliver felt anything but special. He felt lonely, forgotten, struggling to keep his family's legacy alive. The memories of his father's teachings echoed in the workshop, every tool in its place, every machine treated with respect. Each repair was more than a job. It was a promise to his father's memory. Financial pressures mounted. The electricity bill remained unpaid, and the bank notices became more frequent. Oliver knew they were close to losing everything. The shop, their home, their last connection to his father's dream. Some nights he would sit alone, surrounded by machines, wondering if he would ever break free from this cycle of struggle. Yet, something inside Oliver refused to give up. His mother's strength, his father's teachings, and his own quiet determination kept him going. He believed that somewhere, somehow, his opportunity would come. He didn't know how or when, but he believed. The strange piece of equipment continued to intrigue him. It wasn't just a machine. It felt like a puzzle waiting to be solved. Oliver sensed it held more than mechanical secrets. Something about its design suggested a story, a purpose beyond ordinary understanding. As evening approached and the workshop grew dim, Oliver continued working. His hands moved with a precision that seemed almost magical. The machines around him seemed to breathe, to understand him. In this moment, surrounded by metal and memories, Oliver Thompson was more than just a struggling mechanic. He was a dreamer. He was hope personified. The rain outside continued, soft and steady, like a quiet promise of something about to change. The next morning, a sleek black car pulled up outside Oliver's workshop. It was unusual for such a nice vehicle to stop in their small, struggling part of town. A tall, distinguished gentleman stepped out, carrying a leather briefcase that looked more expensive than everything in Oliver's shop combined. Professor William Roberts adjusted his glasses and walked into the workshop. Oliver, covered in grease and working on an engine, looked up. For a moment their eyes met, and something unexplained passed between them. "Are you Oliver Thompson?" the professor asked, his voice calm and measured. Oliver wiped his hands on a dirty cloth. "Yes, sir, can I help you?" The professor examined the workshop, his eyes scanning every corner. He seemed to be looking for something beyond the physical space, something invisible to ordinary eyes. Then he pulled out the same strange piece of equipment Oliver had been studying the previous day. "I believe you've been working on something." "Quite interesting," Professor Roberts said, placing the device on the workbench. Oliver felt a strange connection. The machine seemed to respond to his presence, its intricate circuits flickering slightly. The professor watched carefully, noting Oliver's unique interaction with the device. "Most mechanics would have given up," Professor Roberts commented. "But you see something different." Over the next few hours, the professor revealed an extraordinary opportunity. A global research project was seeking individuals with unique mechanical intuition, people who could understand machines beyond traditional engineering. Oliver listened, his heart racing with a mixture of excitement and disbelief. The project wasn't just about technology. It was about understanding human potential, about discovering how some people could connect with machines in ways no computer could predict. Oliver realized this was more than a job. It was a chance to prove something to himself. His mother, Elizabeth, was skeptical when he shared the news. "It sounds too good to be true," she said, serving dinner that evening. But Oliver saw hope in her eyes, hope that their struggling life might finally change. Jack, his best friend, was more enthusiastic. "This is your moment, Ollie," he exclaimed. "A chance to show everyone what you're made of." The training was intense. For weeks, Oliver balanced his workshop work with secret training sessions. Professor Roberts brought specialized equipment, testing Oliver's unique abilities. He discovered Oliver could understand machine languages in ways no other candidate could. It wasn't just about technical skills. The researchers were looking for emotional intelligence, for people who could bridge the gap between human feelings and technological understanding. Oliver's humble background, his experiences of struggle, made him perfect for this role. His working-class perspective became his greatest strength. Where academic researchers saw complex problems, Oliver saw simple solutions. His hands, calloused from years of mechanical work, could solve challenges that sophisticated computer models couldn't. The other candidates were engineers from prestigious universities, with multiple degrees and expensive equipment. But Oliver had something they didn't: genuine passion and an intuitive understanding that went beyond textbook knowledge. During one critical test, Oliver solved a problem that had stumped international experts. He didn't use complex theories or advanced mathematics. He used simple observation, practical thinking, and an almost magical connection with the machine. Professor Roberts watched in amazement. "You're not just a mechanic," he told Oliver. "You're something more." Oliver thought about his father, about the workshop that had seemed like a burden. Now he understood. Every challenge, every difficult repair had been preparing him for this moment. His struggles hadn't been obstacles, they had been training. His mother's sacrifices, the long hours she worked, the way she kept their family. Together, all of this had built his character. The research project wasn't just offering him a job, it was offering him a chance to transform his entire life. As evening fell and the workshop grew quiet, Oliver looked at the strange device. It wasn't just a machine anymore. It was a symbol of possibility, of hope, of a future he had never imagined. Something extraordinary was about to begin. The research facility was unlike anything Oliver had ever seen. Glass buildings stretched towards the sky, filled with machines that looked more like works of art than scientific equipment. Researchers from around the world watched him, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. Oliver knew he didn't belong here. His work boots and simple mechanic's shirt stood out among the crisp white lab coats and expensive suits. But Professor Roberts had chosen him specifically, and he was determined to prove himself. The challenge was complex. A global communication system was failing, a network that connected hospitals, emergency services, and critical infrastructure across continents. Brilliant engineers had tried and failed to solve the problem. The system was dying, and with it, potentially millions of lives depended on a solution. Most experts approach the problem with complicated algorithms and advanced computer models. Oliver did something different. He listened, not just to the machines but to the story they were trying to tell. During the first week, other researchers whispered, "What's a small-town mechanic doing here?" they would ask, when they thought he couldn't hear. Oliver pretended not to notice, but each whisper burned inside him. His mother's voice echoed in his mind, "Stay strong, stay humble." The communication system was like a massive dying organism. Where others saw complex code and broken circuits, Oliver saw connections. He remembered how his father taught him to repair old cars, understanding the heart of the machine, not just its parts. Days turned into weeks. Oliver worked tirelessly, mapping the system's problems like a detective solving a complex case. He didn't use fancy computers or advanced software. Instead, he used something more powerful, his intuition and understanding. His breakthrough came unexpectedly. During a late-night session, while other researchers had gone home, Oliver noticed a pattern. The system wasn't just failing, it was trying to communicate something. Like an old car with a specific way of showing its problems, this global network had its own language. Professor Roberts watched in amazement. Oliver wasn't solving the problem with traditional methods. He was connecting with the system, understanding its pain, its struggle. It was more than technical repair, it was almost like healing. The other researchers began to change their perspective. The whispers stopped. Now they watched with respect, fascinated by the simple mechanic who seemed to speak a language of technology that no one else understood. Oliver thought about his mother, working her night shifts at the hospital. He thought about their struggling workshop, about the years of financial pressure. This moment was more than a job. It was a chance to prove that where you come from doesn't define your potential. The global communication network was complex, connecting hospitals, emergency services, and critical infrastructure across continents. A single failure could mean lives lost, communities disconnected. The pressure was immense, but Oliver remained calm. He approached the challenge like he approached an old, broken car in his workshop, with patience, with respect, with an understanding that every machine has a story to tell. His solution was surprisingly simple. He didn't replace entire systems or write complex new codes. Instead, he found the system's natural rhythm, its original purpose. It was like tuning an old engine, understanding its unique heartbeat. As the solution began to work, the entire research facility watched in stunned silence. The global communication network came back to life, stronger and more efficient than before. What had seemed impossible became reality through Oliver's unique approach. Professor Roberts placed a hand on Oliver's shoulder. "You've done something extraordinary," he said quietly. "Something no one else could have done." Oliver thought about his father, about the workshop that had seemed like a burden. Now he understood. Every challenge, every difficult repair had been preparing him for this moment. His struggles hadn't been obstacles, they had been training. The other researchers approached him, their previous skepticism replaced by genuine respect. Oliver remained humble, remembering his mother's words. "Stay true to yourself, no matter where life takes you." As the day ended, the global communication system hummed with new life, a testament to the power of understanding, of listening, of believing in oneself. Oliver Thompson, the small-town mechanic, had changed the world. The international conference hall was packed with the world's top engineers and scientists. Rows of distinguished professionals sat waiting, their laptops and tablets ready, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and professional skepticism. And at the center of it all stood Oliver Thompson, a simple mechanic from a small town. Professor Roberts introduced him, his voice filled with quiet pride. "This is Oliver Thompson, the man who solved our global communication crisis." Whispers filled the room. How could a mechanic from a small workshop solve what entire teams of experts had failed to do? Oliver felt their eyes on him, judging, questioning, doubting. His hands were still rough from years of mechanical work. His suit, carefully chosen by his mother, felt stiff and uncomfortable. But something burned inside him, a determination that went beyond fancy degrees or professional titles. The presentation began. Oliver didn't use complicated technical language. He spoke simply, explaining how he understood the communication system like he understood an old car engine. He talked about listening, about feeling the rhythm of technology, about understanding its hidden language. Some professors looked confused, others looked intrigued. A few seemed almost angry that a simple mechanic could explain something so complex in such straightforward terms. One senior researcher, Dr. Elizabeth Harris, challenged him directly. "Explain your methodology," she demanded, her voice sharp and critical. Oliver took a deep breath. He pulled out a simple diagram he had drawn, showing how the communication system worked. It wasn't a complex computer model. It was more like a mechanical blueprint, showing connections and pathways. "Technology is like a living thing," Oliver explained. "It has a heartbeat. It has a way of communicating that goes beyond numbers and codes." His explanation was revolutionary. He wasn't just talking about fixing machines. He was talking about understanding them, about connecting with them on a deeper level. As he spoke, something magical happened. The room became quiet. Researchers who had been skeptical now listened intently. They saw something in Oliver that went beyond traditional engineering, a unique ability to understand technology's soul. Dr. Harris, who had been his harshest critic, now looked impressed. "You've discovered something extraordinary," she admitted. The conference wasn't just about his technical solution. It was about challenging everything they thought they knew about technology and human potential. Oliver thought about his mother, working her night shifts at the hospital. He thought about their struggling workshop, about the years of financial pressure. This moment was more than a professional victory. It was a personal triumph. During the lunch break, researchers surrounded him. They wanted to understand his approach, to learn from his unique perspective. The man who had been an outsider just hours ago was now the center of attention. Professor Roberts watched with pride. He had seen something special in Oliver from the beginning, a potential that went beyond traditional understanding. The day's final session was dedicated to Oliver's research. He explained how his working-class background, his years of mechanical work, had given him a unique understanding of complex systems. Sometimes, he told the researchers, the simplest approach is the most powerful. His presentation challenged everything they knew. It wasn't about complex algorithms or advanced technology. It was about understanding, about listening, about seeing connections that others missed. As the conference ended, Oliver received a standing ovation. Researchers from around the world wanted to collaborate with him, to learn from his unique approach, but Oliver remained humble. He thought about returning to his small workshop, about sharing this experience with his mother and his best friend Jack. Success hadn't changed who he was. That evening, as the conference hall emptied, Oliver called his mother. "I did it," he said simply. Elizabeth's proud tears could be heard through the phone. The world of technology had been changed forever, and it all started with a simple mechanic who knew how to listen. Oliver Thompson had broken more than technical barriers. He had shown that potential comes from understanding, from compassion, from believing in oneself. The Research Institute offered Oliver everything he could have imagined: a prestigious position, a massive salary, and international recognition. But something inside him knew his journey wasn't about personal success. It was about something much bigger. He returned to Millbrook, to the small workshop that had been his family's legacy. But this time everything would be different. With the knowledge and resources he had gained, Oliver transformed the old auto repair shop into something extraordinary. The Thompson Technical Training Center became a beacon of hope for young people in small towns. Oliver created a unique program that combined practical mechanical skills with advanced technological understanding. Kids who had been told they weren't smart enough, who came from working-class backgrounds, found a new path. His mother, Elizabeth, helped run the center. Her nursing experience and compassionate approach complemented Oliver's technical training. Together, they created a place where potential was discovered, not judged. The first group of students arrived with uncertainty. They were local kids who had been told they weren't good enough for big dreams. Oliver saw something different in their eyes: potential, hope, a hunger to learn. Technology isn't about fancy degrees, he would tell them. It's about understanding, about listening, about believing in yourself. Local businesses started noticing the center's graduates. These weren't just mechanics or technicians. They were problem solvers, innovative thinkers who could see connections others missed. Companies began requesting students from the Thompson Technical Training Center. Jack, Oliver's best friend, became the center's first full-time instructor. His practical skills and Oliver's advanced knowledge created a perfect training environment. They turned the old workshop into a modern learning space, keeping its original spirit alive. News of the center spread. Professor Roberts visited, bringing international researchers who were amazed by what Oliver had created. What had started as a local initiative was becoming a model for technical education worldwide. Oliver never forgot where he came from. Each student's story reminded him of his own journey. He understood struggle, he understood doubt, he understood the power of believing in oneself. The center offered more than technical training, it offered hope. It showed young people that their background didn't define their potential. A small town, mechanic's son could change the world. Financial support came from unexpected places. Companies that had once ignored Millbrook now saw it as a source of extraordinary talent. Scholarships were created, opportunities opened up for local students. Oliver's approach was revolutionary. He didn't just teach technical skills. He taught students how to understand technology's soul, how to listen to machines, how to solve problems creatively. His mother watched with pride. The struggling family that had barely kept their workshop running was now transforming lives. Elizabeth saw her son doing something more than building a business. He was building community. Local newspapers wrote stories about the center. From struggling workshop to global innovation hub, one headline read. Oliver remained humble, always remembering his roots. The training center became more than an educational institution. It became a symbol of hope, of possibility. Young people who had been told they weren't good enough found their potential. Oliver never forgot the challenges that brought him here. The lonely nights in the old workshop, the financial struggles, the moments of doubt, they had all led to this. During graduation ceremonies, Oliver would share his story. Your background is your strength, he would tell students. Your struggles are your training ground. The Thompson Technical Training Center grew, but it never lost its soul. It remained true to Oliver's original vision, helping people discover their potential, one student at a time. Years later, when asked about his success, Oliver would simply smile. "I'm just a mechanic who learned to listen," he would say. But he was so much more. He was a beacon of hope, a proof that extraordinary journeys can begin in the most ordinary places. The small workshop that once represented struggle now represented possibility. And Oliver Thompson had made it all happen.